What's up, guys? I hope you're all doing well. It's been a minute. I've been busy on the car, staying busy, but I haven't been filming much. But I busted the camera out and we are going to do a floor pan install on this, in this area right here. I've been wanting to spray epoxy primer on the hood or the deck lid, but man, the weather is just not cooperating. The heat has been in the 80s to 90s, and the humidity has been everywhere from 50 to almost 100% today. So, I mean, I've just put too much time in prepping this stuff to spray on a day that's not ideal conditions. So I'm holding off on that for now. So this is one of the last major things that needs done. I'm not gonna have to use the full pan. All this in here is really good. I want to avoid having to get up in here because of this awkward cutout right there. So I'm thinking I'm going to slowly cut into this, dig around, and see all the more I have to replace. I mean, the smaller patch means less work, so that's what we're going to do. So let's jump into it. Okay, so as far as an inspection of the underside, right in here, actually, I'll have to look. We'll poke a hole through on the other side. The only real bad area actually seems to be right in here. And that would be awesome if that's the case, because I could literally patch that with just a square piece of sheet metal. Maybe changing the plan. Know the plan, stick to the plan, but don't fall in love with the plan. Alright, I'm gonna get a wire brush out and we're gonna knock off some of the undercoating on the other side to do some investigating to see how bad that rust may or may not be eating through. Alright, so what we have is, at some point, apparently there was a patch panel pop riveted on here. And honestly, a lot of you guys probably aren't going to like this, but I mean, this is all pretty solid. Everything looks good there. I may be just leaving this, and I know it may not be the best decision, but it's a reasonable decision for now. I'm really at that point where I just want to drive the thing, and I'll patch the hole over on this side. You can't really see it because the hole is literally over the frame rail. But I really haven't cut many corners on this project. This is probably going to be one of those areas that I decided to do so. I can always come back and fix it later, right? I don't know. I just want to drive it. Alright, so I'm going to get in here with the wire wheel on the angle grinder, start grinding this down, see if we can't reveal any more of what's going on. The frame rail, from what I can see, doesn't look bad, but we'll find out. I've got my box fan with the duct filter on it. We have that running. We'll kick everything back in here. That should help significantly cut down on the dust that it makes in here. And we'll see what we figure out. So here's what we're looking at. Yes, the top layer that overlaps here is rusted away, but all this is solid underneath. I really don't see much issue with that. I think what I'm gonna do is literally just cut out a section right here and overlap the metal up into here and weld it in and call it a day. Probably not the most ideal repair if this thing was going to be a daily driver like it was back in the 60s and 70s, but I'm sure a lot of you guys know that I really just want to get this thing on the road, and I don't see any issue with doing a repair like that just to be able to drive this thing around on the weekends. I'm no engineer, but if I were an engineer, I would say that that repair and all the more damage that's down there is not going to cause any kind of Fred Flintstone action going down the road. So that's what I'm going to do. That's how we're going to proceed. That's my decision. It's final. I'm happy with it. Okay, there she is, no more hole. I'm not going to clean up the welds any more than that, because the way I see it, I mean, you're not going to see this, and it's just going to add strength. So, there we have it, the driver's side done. You guys can let me know if you feel like, you feel like this area should have been repaired, but I mean, I don't see it right now. So, the rest of this we'll get wire brushed, POR15, and then I'll put seam sealer over all this, and we'll call it a day on that. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to be doing in the next episode, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's a quick one, but I wanted to get one up because it's been a while. So until the next episode, guys, stay driven.